What really happens when we are afraid? In this episode of the Be Conscious podcast, I will be discussing how we can transform the energy of fear. Here we go.
Welcome to the Be Conscious podcast, the show that brings you enlightened perspectives on the frequency of money, life's many challenges, and those heavy feelings that may be holding you back from living your best life. And now your host, Dr. Susan Nicholas.
In this important episode of the Be Conscious podcast, I'm going to talk about fear and how we can learn to transform it. Essential tools that allow you to dissolve painful mental patterns are your mental presence and clarity of thought. Something that has helped me on my conscious journey with my mental clarity and alertness is Magic Mind. Magic Mind is a clean, organic, 2-ounce mental performance shot that keeps you at peak mental performance throughout the day, dissolving that mental fog. And you know what I absolutely love about Magic Mind is that it not only tastes great, but I no longer have those midday energy slumps. Listen, if you're looking for an alternative to the jitters and the ups and downs of caffeine, or if you simply want to enhance your favorite energy drink, give Magic Mind a try. And if you're anything like me, look forward to it every morning. Let's get back to the show. Now, before we learn about how to transform the energy of fear, let's start out with a couple of definitions and distinctions. The definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. Listen again. Fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by a belief that something uncomfortable will happen in the near future. So have you ever noticed something about beliefs? In the moment that a belief comes into our awareness and triggers the fear, that something hasn't yet happened. Whatever you are fearing hasn't yet happened. And this is the good news, because things that have not yet come to fruition can be changed. Energies can be shifted. Now, intellectually, things that trigger fear are the very things we don't want to come true. But what can happen is that we feel the fear so intensely that the fearsome vibration from our heart is what reverberates out to that universal substrate of creation, bringing with it worldly circumstances to validate our fear. See, this is how it works. The universe has no choice but to return to us what we truly feel inside of our hearts. Now let's take a closer look at danger and see how it differs from fear. You see, danger is the possibility of suffering harm or injury. Danger can be harm to the physical, mental, or emotional self. Examples of dangerous situations, we all know them, is like falling down the stairs or off of a cliff. Now, if you notice, danger is clear and present. So fear is a belief about the future, and danger is a threat in the present moment. So most of the time, we are fearing something in the future, often triggered by a past experience. It bears mentioning that there is nothing right or wrong about fear. It's simply an emotion we have the capacity to feel. The question then becomes, do you want to be cycling through fears repeatedly? Most of us find it too uncomfortable and at the same time find ourselves unable to change how we feel. This is what we'll discover how to dissolve today. So fear has a few acronyms floating around the internet. You may have heard of it as false evidence appearing real, or forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. So let's look at a few things that we commonly fear. We often have fear surrounding money, either losing it or not having enough of it. And this often stems from a deep-seated insecurity of an experience, likely from our past, which can stem back to experiences dated in our childhood. We can have fear of an experience of being alone, for example, being unsheltered, unloved, or unwanted, or perhaps the fear of going hungry. We can have fears about losing a possession, a job or employment, or maybe something intangible like our reputation or someone's adoration or affection. We can fear being embarrassed, associated with circumstances of not having enough money, or just generally speaking about what other people might think. If you're a student, you might fear failing a test or not graduating. And again, these things are all future possibilities that we fear in the present moment. According to the publication Psychology Today, 91.4% of the things that we worry about don't actually happen. And those 9% of things that do aren't as horrible as feared and often offer valuable lessons to us. Now, worry is a symptom of fear, a symptom of having a belief. And to define worry is to give way to anxiety or unease, or to allow one's mind to dwell on perceived difficulty or troubles. Can you see from the basis of the definition of worry that it is a choice, that it's something that you actively do, that whether you worry or not, the circumstance remains, and it is how we perceive the situation that ultimately transforms it. Think about your past, a previous time when you had the same worry or fear that you might have right now. What happened? Did you lose what you feared you would? If you did, was it as horrific as you imagined? If it helps, write down your past experiences with the fear that you have right now. Take inventory. If it was about money, did the money eventually come? Did you lose physical things like personal belongings, a home, or a car? Notice what came after, what took place. If it was a job loss, did another, perhaps even better job take its place? Maybe it's fear about a relationship that's creating angst. In a past relationship that ended, let's say, did another more beautiful relationship find you? Allow yourself to remember. How are you different from in those past moments when what you did fear came true? Are you measurably different now? Ask yourself, if I am different, if I survived and I grew from the experience, could the outcome of this fear being triggered inside of me also have a different outcome, a better outcome? Breathe into this. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that needs to be felt. So, how do we overcome this fear and this incessant worrying? The surest way to transmute the energy of fear is to come into the energy of gratitude. You see, gratitude is more than a word. It is a high vibrational frequency. You may not have the presence of mind to be grateful for the fearful trigger, but you can feel grateful for the sunrise, the clothes on your back. What about the love that you have in your life? How about a cool breeze or a cold drink on a hot day? You decide what you are grateful for. Go ahead, write it down. Make a practice of it until it becomes automatic. Notice the feelings inside of you when you truly feel grateful. Remember this feeling, and you can always go back to it. For some, this will sound a little cliche. Just be grateful, right? But what if in the moment you just can't get there? You can't come into the vibration of gratitude. In that place, simply breathe. As long as you are living, You always have your breath. The key is to focus on it. Narrow your thoughts to 2 simple words, in and out, in coordination with your breath. You can do this anywhere, at any time. Focus on your breath until the discomfort dissipates. And when you can, perhaps just before bed, take a few moments to pen what you are grateful for in that moment and watch your circumstances begin to transform before your eyes. Now, this takes practice. It's a process. Just because you take one box out of the attic doesn't mean the job is done. Learn to forgive yourself and offer yourself grace. You have felt these feelings before, and surely you will again. Next time, however, you will perceive it and handle it differently, won't you? Because you are finally gaining the spiritual tools to transform energy. What will you do the next time you feel fear? Will you forget everything and run? Hide from fear? Intoxicate or numb yourself? Act out? Or try your best to ignore it? Or will you face everything and rise? Breathe into gratitude and finally neutralize the trigger and transform the belief. Whichever path you choose, notice that you make the choice every single time. Regardless of the circumstance, the choice is up to you. Be conscious, my friends. Interested in giving Magic Mind a try? Get $30 off first-time subscriptions with code BeConscious20 at checkout. You can claim it at www.magicmind.com/BeConscious20. The link can be found in the show notes. I want to thank you for taking this inner journey with me today. And whether you are coming or going, looking inside or out, remember to be conscious. If you love this episode and if today's message resonated with you, please subscribe, rate, and review the Be Conscious podcast. It helps listeners just like you to find intriguing and transformative content. I also want to know what inspired you and what conscious topics you'd like to hear more about. And if you want, you can share those thoughts and questions with me at info@susannicholas.org.
Thanks for listening to the Be Conscious podcast with author, TEDx international speaker, and conscious coach, Dr. Susan Nicholas. Be sure to connect with her to stay up to date with her latest news and works. Learn more about her conscious speaking platform at susannicholas.org/speaking. Stay tuned for the next thought-provoking episode. And whether you are coming or going, looking inside or out, remember to be conscious.